Hi guys, welcome back to another Overthrow Disc Golf video. This is an intro that I've been really excited to make because it's been a long time in the making. Of course, there are going to be timestamps in this video, so if you don't care about being appreciated or what we got going on here, just skip ahead. You jerk. For those of you who don't know, we had Drew Gibson. We've been talking to him for a couple months about coming up here. We set a date, we set a time, and we made it happen. And so big shout out to Drew and big thanks to Drew for coming down. We of course paid him for his time. That's something that we are really passionate about, is making sure that these pros get paid and supporting them. We've got about 3 hours of footage that Mikey recorded, and so that was broken up basically into 2 parts. We've got, of course, a bunch of throws, and I've got some cool plans for that, or I think they're cool. And then we've got this interview portion, which you're about to see. And my goal with the interview was to just make sure that I had notes with me, but I wanted to make sure that we got the things that he was passionate about and that he really wanted to talk about. So my goal is just to let them free flow as a pro. And I say them because we plan on doing more of these in the future. So this was all only possible because of your support. You know, that little ad that you watched in the beginning of the video, that gives us money, and this money we can give to the pros. And the biggest of shout outs to our Patreon supporters, because most of the money for having Drew up here came from there. That's by far our biggest little income stream to the channel. And just cards on the table, Mikey and I aren't pocketing anything from Overthrow right now. Not that we won't do that, but it's not in alignment with our goals at the moment. So literally everything that you guys are giving us is going back into it right now to get you guys content like this. And so I hope that you, through these interviews, will get to know these pros better, because I think, you know, when you have Drew's awesome merch up on like Infinite Discs and you're thinking, oh, do I want to buy that? Well, you know, I don't know if I like that guy or not, right? So it's tied into whether we like these pros or not. And so my goal is to give you guys access to them so that you can make those decisions in one sense, and then so also that you can learn from them and see how their mindsets work and what they're passionate about. So, and I think by the end of this video, you're gonna end up liking Drew and see the things that he's fiery about. So if you do, go over to his channel, support him, give him a subscribe, and go on. The biggest way I think that you can support him is through getting his merch and his discs on Infinite Discs. So if you enjoy, support him, and thanks for supporting us. Have fun. Okay.
All right, I'm ready when you are, bud.
All right, so I'm happy going down any rabbit holes, by the way. So okay. I've got kind of a loose thing here. So we should probably do the official, like, your disc golf career history, you know, where you started and all that stuff.
So I don't obviously tell you my name, right? Like,
right. Oh, they know. If you don't know, unsubscribe right now. Like, when was the first time you remember, you know, playing disc golf?
Oh, like 2009, I probably started playing.
2009. So how old were you?
I would have been
high school, middle school?
12, 13.
And then, like, how often did you play? When did you start tournaments?
2009, I didn't play that much. Like, I just like knew what disc golf was, and like my dad now maybe go play like on the weekend or something. But like 2011, I started taking it like much more serious. And then 2000, so I played like a bunch of amateur tournaments in 2011. Ended up qualifying for Junior Worlds in 2012, and that's when I like really started taking like disc golf serious. Was like 2000. I would say the year I started playing was like 2011. Like I knew what it was in 2009, but like that's like, you know what billiards is. If you started like trying to be competitive tomorrow, you wouldn't say, oh, I played my whole life. Right. You know, like 2011 is when I really like dedicated like trying to get better.
Yeah. Did you just go out and play a bunch of tournaments, or did you start like actually grinding, and did you know like about field work and stuff back then?
Oh, I would just show up to the course. I literally lived like a block from the course at the time, and I would just show up and play. And like I didn't know like the rules. I knew like throw from here and you go there, then the next hole's over there. Like that's all I knew. And I was young, you know, I was 14, 15 years old, and I got like really good just by like just throwing. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. It wasn't like I was like, oh, the rules of jump putt, foot fault. Like I just threw the disc towards the basket until I made it. And the local guys in my course like, oh man, like you're getting good. And I'm like, whatever, sure. Like I didn't understand like how well I was progressing at the time because I had nothing to really compare it to. Like I was just out there playing. So there was a point where I was like, oh, like I am getting good. And then our local pro shop, Final Nine Sports, actually sponsored me to play in 2012 Worlds that year, like the very next year.
Dang. And so obviously that was like a big deal, but back then, like I wonder how much was a sponsorship pack? Like what did you,
nothing.
do you remember what you
like
got?
They like paid my entry fee.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, like
did they like send you travel wise?
No,
or?
like they literally were like, oh, we'll pay your entry fee, like go have fun. Like it was like a typical like 2012 disc golf sponsorship. The disc golf that everyone's like learning about now is like a whole nother like world. Like here's like a story of like where it first started for me. Like so 2014, first year I went on tour, I'd known Yuli, we had been buddies, whatever, and Minnesota Majestic was my first like stop on the tour. Like I flew out there, I think I had like $3 or $4 grand. I told Paul like, all right, I'm gonna be on tour until I like run out of money or whatever. Like, but like this is like my budget. Like if I get like $1,000, I gotta go home. And he's like, okay, like, and I went on tour with him and Katrina Allen. They were married at the time, and I just like, but like the first tournament I missed cash, and like winner was like an 8 tier, and it was like $1,200. Like think about that. Like now you can get 15th place and get $1,200. 30th place at Ledgestone and get $1,200. Like literally, like this tournament like was like on tour. Like everyone was there. Ricky was there. You know, at the time Alex Geisinger was there, and like the winner got $1,200. You know, like think about how much like that has progressed. Now it's like, you know, you think of like you can get 5th place in a tournament and make $3,000. You know, like it seems like still such a small number, but like I'll never forget that moment of like flying to the tournament, missing cash, and being like, oh man. But then like looking at it and being like, this dude got $1,200. At the time, like I'm like, oh, man, like this is cool. But like looking back and like I'm kind of in that like prime of the career where like I kind of like sucked when it was like, you know, a little bit of money. Now I'm like progressing as the sport's progressing. You know, it's like same thing Macbeth did. I mean, Macbeth won his first world championship in 2012. I was at that same tournament playing juniors, 16 and under. Yeah. You know, so it's crazy like the evolution of like disc golf right now.
Do you remember how much you missed cash by?
It's probably a lot.
Oh, probably a lot. Okay.
Yeah. Like I don't remember the exact amount, but I remember being like going in the last round and thinking like, okay, like course record or like you're not cashing. You know, it was like one of those things. And granted, I had played that year at the Memorial. I was 17 years old and got 3rd place. Like I didn't even, like obviously I knew who Macbeth was and I knew, you know, but like I was just out there like playing and just happened to be on lead card final round. Like the video is online and we're like playing in the pouring rain, like in a puddle pretty much. But like I was so young in the sport, I didn't even understand like the stage I was on. You know, then I flew out to Minnesota, missed cash, and I'm like, oh crap, like this is different. You know, like I'm not close to home anymore, like I'm not with my buddy. You know, like I went down there with like my best friend Derek Billings, who used to be like one of the best players in the world at one time, and like still some people on tour regard him as like one of the best lefties to ever play. But we went down to the Arizona tournament together. We're there like a week early, hung out, and like I happened to get 3rd. But that was kind of like the boost for like my career right there. Was like I was 17 years old, no one really knew who I was. I wasn't 1,000 rated, you know, and I like played on lead card the whole time through Memorial. Like it was pretty crazy.
2 questions. Did that 3,000 to 4,000 end up getting you through that season?
Yeah, like
you cashed enough.
I'm still on
to
tour,
where,
yeah. Like, but
okay.
like that was the thing is I was like I was 17, you know, so I told myself like, okay, like if you can make it, cool. But if not, like you're gonna have to figure out doing whatever else, you know. And so I told Paul like, hey, if I get to like $1,000, I'm going home. He's like, okay, cool, like, you know, give it a shot. And then here we are.
So up until that 3rd place at the Memorial, you didn't really, that's when you feel like, okay, like I can make this a career.
Yeah,
was that kind of the first time for you?
Yeah, that was when it like clicked. Like I had been sponsored by Innova already because Jim Oates actually like pushed that forward because I was like one of the best juniors in the area, you know, and I was on video playing with Nate Doss, like a NorCal SoCal tournament. So like people had known who I was, but I never like earned anything. It was kind of just like I was a young kid and I was good and I lived in Innova territory, so they kind of like gave me a sponsorship and some discs and whatever. But that year at Memorial, like I showed up, no one expected me to do good. No one expected, you know, I could have got 50th and known the same thing at this time, you know, like, and I ended up getting 3rd and it like opened the opportunities for me to do things. You know, I was on the radar. Like there was, you know, certain things that like I wouldn't have got afforded at 17 if I didn't like prove it, you know. So it's like there's a lot of kids. I mean, like look at Kyle Klein. You know, kid's incredible now, but 3 years ago it was like, oh, you're just a normal kid. You know, now he's in contention, winning events. You know, like it's crazy how like a little breakthrough, you know, puts you on like a map that you wouldn't be on, you know, if you get 50th every week.
Yeah, Yeah, we see that it's super common in other sports.
Yeah.
Like some kid coming up through a challenger, and then he wins a challenger, and then he makes it to, he qualifies for U.S. Open or something, and then he breaks through and gets into the quarters, and then he just starts demolishing everything, like Yannick Sinner and guys like that on tennis.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like golf too. You know how many good golfers there are in the world. Then they go to the Corn Ferry Tour and they're successful, and they go on the PGA Tour and they lose their card in 1 year. It's like they're still an incredible golfer, but like the levels is just so much different. It's the same thing in disc golf. The pool is smaller, but it's the same thing. Like you could be good in your region and go into the big tournaments and get 60th, and you're not playing bad. It's just everyone is so good now. When I first went on tour, there was probably 5, 6. There was less than 10 guys that can win. Now I feel like there's 30 guys that, if they play good, can win. Oh yeah. And it's like last week, Mason Ford won. Yeah. No one's picking Mason Ford to win, but like he won. Back in the day when I first 2014, there was no like it was Macbeth, Ricky, Shoestrick at the time. Like there was no like, oh, what kid's gonna win this week? Like now it's like literally a person that you don't think has a chance can win. And back then it wasn't like that. It was very much so like there's the top 5 guys, and everyone else is you're playing. You know?
So for me, and I kind of came in during the Macbeth like prime era is when I came into disc golf. But what I kind of saw was like Paul shredding through the competition for like that year.
2015.
Years. Yeah. As an outsider, it looked like during the off season, like people just started putting in work during that time. And it's not that he got like worse, but like the whole field went.
Well, the thing is, Prodigy came out in 2012 or whatever. Everyone went to a new bag. Or 2013, excuse me. Paul won, Innova, whatever. 2013, Prodigy came out. So Paul had a couple, not free years. Obviously he earned it. Paul was incredible. He's, in my opinion, one of the greatest to ever play the game. His accomplishments are unbelievable. The things he's done for the sport's unbelievable. Like I'm not saying that, but like he got a little bit of a pass with people using new discs and Prodigy and this and that. But then 2016, people started to get settled in. People started, oh, look at what this dude's doing. You can only lose to one person so many times in a row. Right. And it's like, and I'm saying that as in like a Ricky or a Will or someone like you can only get second place to one person by 9 strokes so many times. Then look what Ricky did. Back-to-back world championships. He had handfuls of wins before that, but now Ricky's like very dominant in the sport, But before it was like, I remember there was a Texas States where I swear Paul was down like 5 going to the last round and won by 10 or something, like something astronomical. It's like that doesn't happen now. Like you don't do that because there's 15 guys in that range now between down 5 and winning by 10 that you can't do it anymore. Even like Josh Anthony won the 2017 Ledgestone, I believe, won by 9. It's like that still is like an accomplishment, like he came out of prison, and won with the biggest tournaments you can win with everyone there and won by a good margin. Like right now, winning by 1 stroke is incredible. Winning by 10, look how many tournaments have ended in a playoff this year. I won Portland Open in a playoff.
Even between, Ricky and Chris.
Everybody.
Just recently.
Everything is
like,
it's
that, like Ricky just closed that gap so quick.
Well, again, it's just disc golf right now is so tight at the top. If you get top 5 in a tournament, you're an elite player right now. Like, and it's not luck. Like you don't luckily get 5th place. Like you don't look at the stats of the disc golf pro tour this year and find me one person in the top 5 that wouldn't belong there. Now you do it a couple weekends. You do it a couple weekends in a row. Like you're the elite of the elite in the sport right now. Like you're not walking out of a tournament and getting a top 5 and going, maybe you think you could have played better, but everyone, even the guy that wins thinks he made mistakes. But like, you don't look at the guy that got top 5 and go, oh, you don't deserve to be there. Like, there's no name Billy's getting top 5 anymore. Like, everyone's so talented and so skilled. Like, you want to be in that top echelon and you want to be in the points race and you want to do all this stuff. Like, you're a competitor. Like, you can win. Mason Ford, he proved it. Like, maybe he didn't get top 5 all the time, but everyone knew he was good. He has good form, good putt, good everything. Like, maybe he hadn't had the chance, but like, he won. Like you have to be a real competitor right now to like make it in disc golf.
Yeah. And that is it because kind of the training method, like are there, I guess this is going in kind of off-season training and stuff like that, but is it because the training methods increase? Is it because the money increased so people are just spending more time? Is it like, what changed? Just volume of people coming in?
Well, think about this. There's a couple of things. More money. if you can make more money during the season, you don't have to. I mean, AJ Risley, for example, and I'm just using him because that's the first person that comes to my head. He would play disc golf tour all year, then go home and work at Chipotle to make enough money to tour the next year. That's not a thing anymore. Like, all of us are on a contract and we have multiple sponsors, and Big Best making a couple $1 million a year. Like, he doesn't have to go flip burgers at Burger King and then practice at dark to like make it. Like, this is his career. So when we get from the middle of October through March off, that he's training, he's practicing. Even if he's not playing every day, he might be reading a book. He's working on something. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I'm not Paul, but like, he's doing something to better his game, not working at Chipotle serving extra scoops of rice. You know, so it's like one of those things where it's like you have to, the more money, but also that brings in more competition. Like I said, I think that this year proves how strong the competition is. I mean, how many different people have won? I mean, just look at, I don't know the answer, but look, I mean, off the top of my head, Adam Hammis has won, Kyle Klein's won, Ricky's won, Paul's won, Chris Dickerson's won, Mason Ford's won. I mean, it's like, that doesn't happen. You go to 2018, Ricky Paul. You go to 2017, Ricky Paul. You go to 2015, Paul. You go to 2014, Ricky Paul Will. 2013, Ricky Paul Will. 2012, Ricky Paul Will. It's like 3 people. Now it's like the 6 tournaments I thought of had 6 different, Eagle, there's 7 people right there. It's like, that's never been a thing. And it's the more money makes everyone be able to dedicate more time, and more money is bringing more people into the sport. You know, like a Luke Sampson per se. I'm sure you guys know who that is. He new on the scene, maybe not playing the greatest, but like, there's money to be made out there for him. You know, back then, if you were getting 30th place all the time, you're not making enough money to like make it to the next tournament. Now, like 30th place is like a sustainable, like you can keep playing, you know, and it's not a dig at him. He's new at, it just like, I mean, Kyle Klein was new at one point. We're all new. I mean, go look at my first season. I got 70th. I mean, I get 70th now sometimes, but it's like, before it wasn't sustainable to get 50th. Now it's like, you can still make $500 and they'll get you to the next tournament and hopefully you play good. You know, so it's opening up a door for people to have an avenue to be successful in the sport because there's more money, there's more opportunity, the sponsorship is paying more. You know, again, look at Paul. I mean, he could get last place in the tournaments for the next 10 years and still make more than league minimum in the NBA. Think about that. There's someone playing disc golf making more than NBA league minimum, and he can get last place every time and still do that. You know, like, you're talking about someone that plays on national TV shooting free throws for possibly a championship game, making league minimum.
So that was the first portion of our interview, just kind of the introduction. The next portion is going to be a lot of money talk. You guys are going to get to see that. Some of this hour-and-a-half interview is going to go up on our Patreon specifically, just to, you know, give those guys a little extra love for all of their support. So stay tuned. We've got way more content coming out from this, and we hit some pretty fun topics. So until next time.